DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Jason Gilbo, Jake Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at the 14-game slate tonight, and a lot of different options you can go. Not really expensive pitching. I mean, a couple of guys at the 11K range, but nothing that'll really kill you either.
No, and if you'll notice, our moods are a little bit down compared to the first two because we just talked about Kevin Durant going to the Warriors and what a boring season that's going to be. But anyway, so yeah, back to MLB. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, you got to like Bumgarner here, but at the same time, there's tons of options for SP2s.
Yeah, definitely. And so, I mean, it's going to make it intriguing. I mean, as far as choosing guys on teams here, because there are a lot of different guys and some possible run totals kind of moving up and down here over the last hour or so from when we did the FanDuel pod too. So we'll talk about those.
Definitely.
Atlanta and Philly, the first one here, you got Zach Eflin versus Mike Foltynewicz. And we were talking about the Phillies side of things here. And I mean, obviously, you got like a Duba Herrera. I mean, expensive at 4.6, but he's definitely earned that price tag and definitely in a matchup where he can certainly pay it off.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is a big price, but at the same time, Foltynewicz given up 1.76 home runs per nine since 2015. So definitely got to like some power numbers for him tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And, kind of reverse splits. He hasn't really been that great either. So I think you can look at some of these right-handers like a Michael Franco and GPPs. I'd like Cody Ashit in third. I mean, you can get that lefty exposure against him for pretty cheap.
Yep. And then on the Braves side there, we're looking at those top four lefties, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't mind picking on Eflin with those left-handed bats. Pretty average arm there. And I do think even, he's average enough to where I think the Braves can actually get to him. So
yeah,
a relatively high total here. That run total just kind of sneaked up a couple of points. So for me, I don't mind the Braves bats, and I'm with you. I think those first four lefties given in Coyote status is, definitely all playable.
for sure.
So Brewers and Nationals here, Gio Gonzalez versus Zach Davies. And the Brewers bats here are a little more expensive than I would like a Ryan Braun. I was kind of much more intrigued with him on FanDuel as a deep GPP option. For me, I can't really see myself using Brewers here on DK.
Yeah, not really. I'm not in on that. Obviously, you do like the lefty versus righty, but again, Gio, I think does have a little potential here as a tournament guy. So I'm not necessarily targeting the Brewers.
No, and I think, I mean, you're looking at Davies here, and, against lefties, hasn't really been that good. 358 WOBA, 1.47 home runs per nine, low ground ball rate. So obviously, I mean, Daniel Murphy and Bryce Harper kind of stand out as the elite options, and, you're going to definitely pay for those.
For sure. Yeah, definitely like the lefties. Back to normal. We were kind of targeting Worth and Ramos there for a little bit, but back to the big boys.
Yeah, definitely. Royals and Blue Jays, next one here, Chris Young versus R.A. Dickey. Obviously lefties against Chris Young has been remotely money this season, and in years in the past. So I think you obviously can look at these guys, but I think it's also just a note that they really haven't been performing that well. So as well as the matchup is, I also think, tempered expectations could be something to consider for guys like Carrera and Saunders from the left side who haven't been, even thriving in good matchups. So obviously, going up against Chris Young, he's a slump buster. He can get you going. So definitely, but, I'm toning back my expectations, I guess.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking at Saunders here, it's not like you're paying down Carrera. Not like you're paying down with FanDuel is a little cheaper. So I do still like the lefties. Obviously, you like this lineup. It's just really expensive and going to be chalky. So I think there's plenty of other directions to go.
Yeah, definitely. And you look at Young, I mean, obviously the right-handed bats, he's kind of held in check, but obviously always an extreme fly ball pitcher. You definitely can see fly balls coming out and jumping out at Rogers Center tonight. So obviously Donaldson and Encarnacion both over 5K are expensive. But definitely, I mean, the upside, is unmatched by some of those other guys there.
For sure.
So, Royal side of things, for me, I mean, the difference between first base is Kendrys Morales is 4,800 while Hosmer's 4K. So I think that kind of makes it a little bit easier to call. Obviously, Morales would be more contrarian, but the Royals are pretty cheap. I mean, Perez at 3,100, Whit Merrifield at 35, Gordon at 3.2. I don't mind those price tags. I mean, Dickey really has been, he's not a big blow up guy, but he's also going to give you a couple of runs.
Yeah, I like some of these guys, especially Alex Gordon at the top there. I think we're rolling with some of the lefties in this lineup, but not necessarily a stack either for me.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think you just kind of got to be picky. I mean, lefties have actually hit, Dickey pretty well this year. 368 WOBA, 2.32 home runs per nine. So guys like Gordon and Hosmer kind of are catchy names there.
Right.
So Tigers and Indians, and the Indians, I mean, now up in that projected 5-run total. I mean, that's pretty big from where we were talking about them on FanDuel. That's a pretty good sized jump. They're more expensive here on DraftKings, much more than FanDuel. So
Yeah.
for me, I mean, they're still in play. They're still a stackable option, just because Sanchez has been horrendous this season.
Yeah, I mean Sanchez home run prone. Kind of looking at this entire Indians lineup. So they are much more expensive here. So it does make you pay the piper, but at the same time, I think we can look pretty strong at Kipnis and Lindor here.
Yeah, I think so too. And as you mentioned, Sanchez pretty home run prone, 1.54 to lefties. Righties 2.29. So for me, I'm really
hold on. Did I just say pay the piper?
Yeah, you did.
That's really weird.
I don't know. Maybe you were watching a little Silicon Valley or something, and you
Nope. I have no excuse.
Okay, then I was trying to help you out, but all right, guess not yet. That's your turn. Some of these guys here in the back end, I mean, Nyquin, a guy at 3.8, I don't mind. He was expensive on FanDuel. He's a guy who's a little bit different here.
Definitely.
And, as always, we like these guys, Jose Ramirez, Chisenhall, Nyquin, are nice options. And obviously, Napoli 3.6 is the cheaper guy out of that front four there. So I don't mind him as well.
For sure.
Tigers, I'm not really interested at their price tags even against Carrasco.
Nah.
Too tough for me.
You won't be paying the piper. You won't be getting paid any pipers if you play them in tournaments tonight.
Angels and Rays, Jake Odorizzi. For me, I mean, I like going after Lincecum here tonight, and I love these price tags for the Rays. Really cheap stack, and I like them as one-offs. I think they're cash and GPP playable, all under 4K. Brad Miller's your most expensive at 3.9, and that's not even a bad price tag for him. So Lincecum struggling of late. I mean, obviously a decent first start, but I think overall he's not going to be that great going forward for the Angels.
Yeah, sign me up for the 1 through 4, and then Dickerson at 3-2, batting from the 7th spot. That's what I'm looking for. So definitely a strong stacking lineup for me. Gotta love those prices. Gotta love the one-offs and the stack. So especially if you throw Bumgarner in there, that's exactly the type of lineup you want to see open up at a reasonable price.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I mean, that stack paired up with pitching can definitely pay off here.
Yeah.
Against Lincecum, who's not been that solid, not missing or not finishing the job. He misses some bats, but and one thing I think we do need to mention. I mean, we talked about this on FanDuel, is the ISO numbers top 10 for the Rays. WOBA bottom 5 against right-handed pitching, so it is a kind of a boomer bust situation. But I do think against Lincecum, they're definitely playable in all formats.
For sure. And again, I'm not really looking at this Angels team.
Nope, I'm definitely in agreement. I'm not really looking to pick on Odorizzi. I actually think he's a decent cash game option here on DK as an SP2.
Yeah.
So Rangers and Red Sox, and this one I'm getting picky with the Red Sox here. Obviously, for me, I don't mind the lefties in that lineup against Griffin. The hard ball rate's been pretty high this year, 38%. So that's where I'm looking. And of course, always Betts, I think he's in play. I think he's reached a level where his floor and ceiling are definitely worth that price tag, and he's starting to become, even in tougher matchups, I kind of trust him a little bit more. But obviously, I think he's still a GPP play at that price tag.
Yeah, him and Ortiz, and then the lefties at the bottom of the lineup here are what I'm really looking at, especially Brock Holt and Travis Shaw if they're sort of hanging around at the end there. Pretty cheap, and again, Jackie Bradley as well. So I'm looking at the 1, 4, and Bradley there.
Yeah, I am too. And the Rangers here, not quite cheap enough for me.
No.
I like other guys here. Beltre, I know, the lefty righty matchup, but I like Valencia for cheaper. Ryan Rua, 3.9. There's plenty of better value outfielders and better spots for me. I mean, although, they have some pop, they have some potential against price. There's obviously just a process that I rather go elsewhere.
I'm playing it as it's low enough percentage of happening that whoever does that 3% lineup, you know, if they hit it, good for them. But I'm not diving down there today.
No, I'm not either. Mets and Marlins, this next one, and we're talking about this. I mean, those Mets
Mm.
prices are cheap here, and you get Curtis Granderson 3.3, Yoenis Cespedes 4.2, Neil Walker at 3.2, and he's actually had some power from the right side of the plate there. Um, Travis d'Arnaud, not a guy who's a punt play here anymore. Coming off a big day, I liked him as a punt option on FanDuel, but not so much here.
Yeah, I don't mind the Cespedes Walker grouping there. Chen, obviously, we're kind of talking about him. He's super cheap, so there is some upside there, but at the same time, this Mets lineup has gotten it going, especially the 3-4 there with Cespedes and Walker. So I don't mind that sort of at the end there.
Yeah, and we talked about Chen. I mean, Mets high strikeout rate against lefties. Chen obviously prone to the long ball, 1.75 home runs per nine to righties this year. So definitely is some upside there for Cespedes at a pretty cheap price tag
Mm-hmm.
by his standards, of course.
Yeah, and then on the Marlins side, again, we talked about Matz in the pitcher pod. Hasn't been right the last two starts, and he is nursing an injury. The reports are out there. It's pretty straightforward. So, I think we can feel pretty comfortable targeting Ozuna and Stanton in tournaments. I mean, Ozuna is a little more expensive here, but Stanton's still a decent price.
Yeah, I'm definitely in complete agreement. I think Mats, if he continues to just kind of pitch like he has, since that injury news came out, these Marlins bats are going to get to him. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of lefty righty matchups there for some of those guys, and I think it's pretty intriguing. Kind of bummed out that Ozuna didn't get the price discount just with the matchup, but as you mentioned, I think
Yeah,
that's going to be a really low on play there.
definitely agree.
Pirates and Cardinals here, and a couple Cardinals bats that are priced differently for me. That makes me like him a little bit more. And that's Matt Holliday, 3,800. That's a nice price tag for him. Facing a rookie lefty who you're obviously looking intrigued and kind of target against. Diaz, a little more expensive for me at 5K. That's kind of up there.
Yeah, expensive for sure. Again, I think Matt Holliday is a decent option at 38, but they're really making you pay for Piscotty, Diaz, and Carpenter. So I think that's the one off I'm looking for in that game. Even though the run total is high, I just don't feel comfortable paying up for the 2.5K at the front of the lineup there.
No, I don't either. And on the Pirate side of things, Polanco and Marte are pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Polanco was cheap on FanDuel, 2,900 there. Big time jump here. McCutcheon's now the guy who I don't mind taking a shot at, just because the league doesn't
Yeah.
miss a ton of bats.
And Kang chilling there at 41's okay too. But yeah, unfortunately, Polanco's not really in my range tonight. Sort of looking at the 3-4 there. Even though I do like Polanco, it's just overpriced here.
Yeah, I mean, decent spot for him. But I mean, obviously, if people are thinking the way we're talking about him, could be a low owned guy. I mean, obviously coming off a big day yesterday, so
Mm,
you might think maybe either that draws some ownership or the fact that he's priced around a lot of guys, kind of bigger names or power names.
yeah,
So, but overall, I mean, I think that's a game that I'm not really looking for a ton of offense, and I think just maybe a couple one offs.
right.
Mariners and Astros here. And the Astros are still kind of priced a little bit above my range, even against Walker, who hasn't been great on the road and obviously has some home run problems every now and then. Um, I still think they're in play. I still think a Springer is worth a GPP look. Obviously, Correa too. Altuve 5.3. Not a big fan of that. I mean, obviously, he's proven me wrong against righties before, but I think I'd rather roll with like a Daniel Murphy instead.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just think tonight is not a night for me with this grouping. So I'm fading for better or worse, but there are some decent tournament spots, obviously, with the talent and caliber of hitting they have on their team.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're looking more so at the Mariners side. I mean, obviously Cruz is
Yeah.
expensive, but
He's a nice pay up option though. I think that's the type of guy you look for to pay up at that 5,300 if you are going to do it.
yeah, I think so too. I mean, Keiko really hasn't been that strong. 353 WOBA, home runs per nine have been up this year, 1.32. Really friendly ballpark.
Yeah.
I like Chris Iannetta too, 3,200. That's a nice price tag. I know he's sitting in the bottom of the lineup, but does hit lefties very well.
Yeah. Beyond that though, uh really strong options there. Beyond that, I'm probably not touching much.
Yeah, me either. A's and Twins. This game does have some weather concerns, possible postponement.
But it's so exciting. I like this game.
I do too. I hope it
Yeah.
plays.
I know.
But Holy Smolinski, 4,600.
That needs to be the Oakland title tomorrow, like of the newspaper, if he goes for 2 home runs.
Yeah. Yeah, Holy Smolinski. I
That's
mean,
a good one. That's a writer esque headline there, my
well,
friend.
thank you. Thank you. I
Yes.
mean, you know,
I'm
I
glad.
try.
Oh man.
Some of these A's bats are priced up a little more expensively than FanDuel. I mean, obviously Smolinski, Marcus Semien, 4.7 is much more expensive.
I
Chris Davis is more expensive. I
I
just still
have
don't mind him.
I have to question the Smolinski being more expensive than Danny Valencia real quick here. But hey, you know what? Valencia at 38, I love that. Chris Davis 46, that is tough.
It is.
Um,
It
I
is.
I think I'm really just looking at Valencia here as a potential cash option. The rest, it's like I like Semien too, but it is tougher to fit him in than on FanDuel. You really like this lineup on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit overpriced here, as you mentioned, Valencia. But I do think they're worth it in GPPs. Those upside are there against a guy
Yeah,
like Tommy Malone. But yeah, I think just price is considered. I'm not as big of a fan, but I definitely don't hate the idea of still stacking and still grabbing one of them as one-offs as far as what they bring for upside.
for sure.
In the twin side of things, I mean, they're expensive too. Nunez, Miguel Sano, Dozier, all kind of expensive guys against Manea, who really hasn't been that great. And also, I mean, both are pretty equal lefties. And by equal, I mean they're not that good and they give up home runs. So I think if this game plays, you obviously can target it and feel pretty comfortable with some of these guys' upside.
For sure.
Yankees, White Sox, Carlos Rodon, Masahiro Tanaka. And this was a game I just couldn't really get behind. I mean, some of these guys are really cheap here. I mean, the White Sox are cheap, but I think as the day goes on, I think these Vegas run totals are going to start to drop. They already kind of have a little bit. Both these offenses just haven't been good against the respective handedness here.
Yeah, I'm just not in. I'm just not in on this. I mean, even Adam Eaton's a better deal on FanDuel, but I'm not really looking at him necessarily even here. So if I'm not doing that, then I'm probably just not looking at this lineup.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, the guy I might take a shot on is Starlin Castro at 2.8. That's pretty cheap. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, outside of that, I'm not really a big fan of this game. And if it goes and it's a 10-8 game, then I'll, you know, take my word for it and just hang my hat. But I don't see that happening.
Oh, I'll hang your hat all right.
I don't know what that means, but Padres and Diamondbacks, Christian Frederick and Zach Godley. Um, Obviously, the bats are priced up pretty high here. Metcamp's kind
Yeah.
of the only honorable mention on the A side that I don't mind. Just because you look at Godley, he's been hit, you know, relatively harder by righties. So I don't mind Kemp at 4-1. I think that's a decent price tag. Solarte, Will Myers, Upton, kind of priced higher than I would like, but obviously I think GPPs are still in play.
Godly, more like humanly. Ha, 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 yeah. Will Myers here. I don't like Yan Gervers being priced above him. I think you just fire away with Kemp here. Maybe one or maybe is it a shrimp night? A shrimp night? A shrimp?
Hey, if you say so, it is. I mean,
I don't think
you
it
called
is.
the home run the last time, so I wasn't sure.
But yeah, even the value guys in this back end here, I guess you could go with as punts, but not really something you're looking at as a solidified like good split or like good matchup, you know.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the Arizona side is where you're really looking. Those right-handed bats against the lefties,
Yeah.
they are an expensive stack.
Hmm.
Definitely kind of, I think they are worth it, but they are a little bit more enticing. You're definitely paying down a pitcher to get kind of a full stack in. But I don't mind Goldschmidt. I don't mind Castillo's one-offs. Castillo's a little I mean, 4.6 as a catcher is a little expensive, but obviously it is a great matchup for him in a great hitter's park.
Yeah, that's tough. So I guess the question for me really is, and obviously they play different positions, but I'm really looking at Goldschmidt versus Cruz, and I think I like the matchup a little more for Cruz. So if I am paying up for that top option, it's probably going to be him and doing something else at first. But Goldschmidt right
Battle of
there,
the lefties.
yeah,
Battle of the lefty mashers.
uh, Goldschmidt.
Who's going to win Russell Clay's heart? Is it going to be
Oh,
Goldschmidt or is it
well,
going to be
it's
Cruz?
it's not going to be Goldschmidt unless he strikes out 4 times tonight. So,
Oh, man. Who is going to get the Russell K rose?
is this the Bachelorette?
For you, it is. Yeah.
Hmm.
We're trying to find you a right handed bat.
Oh, yeah, I like it. I like it. Yeah, obviously Goldschmidt high end option though.
Yeah, and Yasmani Tomas a little more expensive than I like here, but obviously I think it's still in play. On a 14 game slate, I think they are still going to carry some ownership at the high prices, but I do think obviously they can pay that off, and Vegas does too.
For sure.
Last two games of the night, and these are kind of the last two games that we were kind of looking at as far as kind of glossing over as far as offense goes.
Yeah.
I'm not really looking to pick on Maeda. Obviously, those price tags are kind of intriguing because you don't see the Baltimore bats that low. Um, you would be really having to, hope Maeda has an off night or they just see him really well. But
Yeah.
I can't see myself really taking guys here.
If Matt Wieters is sort of chilling in there, sixth spot, 3,300 isn't too bad of a price. Maybe an Adam Jones too, but beyond that, I'm not really too confident in this Orioles lineup. So probably not one I'm really going after tonight.
No, I don't think so either. And as far as the Dodgers side, I mean, I'm not completely thrilled with their prices as far as guys like Seager.
Yeah.
Everyone else is kind of cheap, but I don't know. I like Justin Turner. He's kind of the only guy I really feel good about at 3,700. It's a nice price tag for him.
Yeah, definitely like that. Beyond that, again, Gonzalez is intriguing with his splits and his price, but he just hasn't been really
No, you
turning
called him
it.
a corpse on the last
I
podcast.
did. That was too far. I'm censoring myself a little bit here. No.
Yeah. Overall, I think the Dodgers' offense that you really Jay Turner for me, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Giants and Rockies next one here. Obviously, Bumgarner, big favorite. Obviously, a top guy to target tonight. So, a stay away situation as far as the Rockies
Yeah.
go. I don't really mind some of these prices as far as the Giants bats. I mean, below 4K, it hasn't really been that case. I mean, lately we've been talking about the Giants bats, and we just go, not too expensive for me.
Yeah, not totally the case today. Posey under 4K is kind of nice. But it's still a lot for a catcher. Definitely like Belt there though. That's kind of the guy I'm honing in on. 3,800 and then Crawford a little bit as well.
Yeah, I don't mind those guys. I don't mind Pagan. I mean, obviously Chatwood's been solid on the road. Uh,
Hmm.
so, I mean, obviously we're not expecting a ton, but I do think there is some value there. I mean, obviously Chatwood is a decent right-hander, but I mean, guys, Giants have seen him quite a bit. I think it could be something here, more so here on DraftKings at those price tags.
And with Arenado at 36, is have crazier things happened than him sort of doing well? Like 36 isn't bad for him. It's not like he's bad against lefties, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
No. All right. All right. This is Jason saying he's not in, but trying to be nice to me right now. But I don't know. I'm definitely staring at it right now.
yeah, when you hear me go, you
Well,
know,
Russ, that's super contrarian. That's usually when he's like, "Oh my god, this guy's a dummy." But definitely something that I might be looking at in a deeper tournament.
deep like
50
core deep.
lineups. 50 lineups.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
maybe your 45th lineup you make.
Yeah,
Might be
okay.
a decent option there. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap things up here with the DK Daily Trot. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all our great tools and content.